Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Sunday, the 2nd of May, 2021, and we're publishing our gold and silver weekly update for the week ending the 30th of April. We're also looking at economic events and reports which could shape what happens to the US dollar and therefore precious metal prices. Now we have a short, or quite short update today, as I've been away this week unexpectedly, and I'm currently in another country, attempting to use my laptop with a rather poor broadband connection. So if this is not up to the usual standard, apologies in advance. But here goes. Gold fell $7 last week from $1,777 to $1,770, having hit a high of $1,790 and a low of $1,757, a slightly lower high and lower low than last week. In sterling terms, gold finished the week at £1,281. That's up just £1. And in euros, it closed at €1,472. That's up €3. Silver fell 10 cents from $26.03 to $25.93, having hit a high of $26.49 and a low of $25.77. In sterling terms, silver closed at £18.76. That's unchanged. And in euros, it closed at €21.56. That's up €0.04. The gold to silver ratio fell ever so slightly from 68.3 to 1 to 68.2 to 1. Bitcoin, by the way, is up $6,740 at $56,740. Looking at the equity markets now, we can see that the Dow Jones closed on Friday at 33,874. That's down 184 points on the day and down 169 points on the week. The S&P 500 closed at 4,180, down 30 points on the day, but up 1 point on the week. And the Nasdaq Composite closed at 13,962, and that's down 119 points on the day and down 54 points on the week. Generally speaking, nothing to be concerned about here because such falls or rises are pretty tiny in comparison with the market value. Brent crude, looking at oils, closed at $66.76. That's up 65 cents on the week. And WTI crude closed at $63.58. That's actually up $1.44 on the week. But that is perhaps because it did fall perhaps a little bit too much last week in comparison to Brent crude. The dollar index stands at 91.22, and that's up 0.37 on the week, and which will explain in large amount or large degree for the fall in gold and silver prices, albeit all of them relatively small. Now, we concluded last week's video with the following forecast, quote, "Our gold trading range, therefore, is improved slightly between 1,700 and 1,850, with 1,600 and 1,900 as outliers, and silver trading between $25 and $26.50, with $24 to $27.50 as outliers." Well, it does look as if we were being a little optimistic to the upside, as both gold and silver traded well within the inner ranges, without even attempting to move to our outlier levels. In fact, to be blunt, both gold and silver prices were pretty uninspiring last week. Gold traded within a relatively tight band of just $33, falling on Friday, while silver traded within 82 cents between highs and lows, and again we saw a fall on Friday to end the week and the month. Now, FX Empire author James Heischig summed it up well in his latest report with the following words, quote, "Gold futures were pressured last week by rising treasury yields and a steady US dollar. The catalyst behind the selling pressure driving gold lower was a series of better-than-expected US economic reports. They were strong enough to offset the dovish rhetoric from the US Federal Reserve and Fed Chair Jerome Powell." Unquote. Well, frankly, our expectations for gold are now cautiously pessimistic, with key pointers at the $1,750 to $1,700 on the downside, and at no more than $18 to $18.50 on the upside. And we doubt very much if that $18.50 will even be looked at. Silver is trading range-bound between the support at the 50-day EMA at 25.80 and resistance at 26.30, while the US dollar is gaining ground against a broad basket of currencies. So we have very strong support at $25, with resistance at 27, and very strong resistance at 28. Now, there was almost a clean sweep of our positive economic data announced last week in the United States, without exception, though perhaps the monthly rise of inflation to 0.3% may be worth watching for the months ahead. We won't go into the individual data points because, as mentioned, they were all pretty much on the positive side, which is why we saw a slight strengthening of the dollar. And although the Fed was relatively dovish, perhaps they are being overcautious. Now, taking a look at what we're expecting this coming week, we have a lot of data, in fact. On Monday, we have the market manufacturing PMI for April and the ISM manufacturing index for April, construction spending for March, and motor vehicle sales for April. On Tuesday, we have the trade deficit and factory orders both for March. And then on Wednesday, we have the ADP employment report, the market services PMI final, and the ISM services index, all for April. Important day. Thursday, weekly jobless claims, productivity for Q1, and unit labor costs for Q1. Then on Friday, another very important day, we have the non-farm payrolls, the unemployment rate, and the average hourly earnings, all for April, and the wholesale inventories for March and consumer credit for March. So an extremely busy week with something for each day, with perhaps the non-farm payrolls being the most important on Friday. We therefore expect to see some volatility next week with so much data being announced. And if the data is positive this week, as it has been last week, then we see pressure being borne on precious metals, as the dollar will undoubtedly rise. Of course, if the data is mixed or weaker, then perhaps a degree of more of consolidation at or around current levels will occur, though we are anticipating a likelihood of downward pressure rather than upward. So our gold trading range therefore rests between 1,718 for this coming week, with 16 and 1850 as outliers, and silver trading between 25 and 2650, with 2350, so we dropped it slightly, to 27 as outliers. So a lower forecast than recent weeks. What do you think, though? Do you agree? Do you foresee gold and silver recovering? We're seeing a lot of videos saying they're about to spurt higher, though frankly at the moment we cannot quite see that occurring. Meanwhile, after you've shared your thoughts, please, we thank you for listening. If you haven't done so, kindly subscribe to our channel, not forgetting to press the bell sign so you're notified of our videos as and when they're published. I'm back in the UK tomorrow. I probably won't be able to get a video out tomorrow, but we will resume as normal Tuesday. There should be no more distractions except perhaps for Wednesday, Thursday, and then everything back to normal from the weekend, I think is probably the fairest assessment. So spasmodic service this coming week slightly, but then back to normal after Saturday. Thank you again for listening, and we wish you a safe, enjoyable weekend and prosperous week ahead. Disclaimer. Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management, and economics. now retired from these worlds, we're not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners. We have also quoted within our videos, or at least underneath our videos in the text, a range of links leading to various books and courses, many of which we may receive a commission from, and therefore alert you to this. However, we can guarantee that we have not recommended any product or service that we ourselves have not either read or participated in, and therefore you can rest assured that any recommendations that we make are based on personal experience.